Kevin and I had a telephone conversation yesterday and we covered a number of issues and particularly education funding. We covered East-West Link and kindergarten funding, among other issues that were covered.
How is Gonski going for us?
Well, Kevin told me very clearly that Gonski's Gonski.
Oh, okay.
That the term Gonski is not to be used ever again, and that we've got to talk about Better Schools funding plan. And,
right.
and we're happy to negotiate with the federal government on better funding for our schools. And indeed, we've put a very significant offer on the table. As a state government, we're providing a record level of funding for school education in our latest budget. But on top of that, we have said we will provide an additional, from the state coffers, an additional $3.5 billion over the next 6 years. And we've said we'll provide that $3.5 billion. And using the model that they're using around in other states for their education funding agreements, a 2-for-1 for additional money, that should attract $7 billion from the federal government. So we want $7 billion for the feds. And on top of that, we want a better deal in terms of school management. One of the great strengths of the Victorian school system is local management and control. Local school communities, local school councils, local school principals in charge of schools. And the current legislation that the federal government has passed transfers that responsibility from local communities to bureaucrats in Canberra. And we don't think it's in the interests of school education or the education of our children that bureaucrats in Canberra tell us what we can teach, when we can teach it, and how we can teach it.
He wouldn't like that. He likes bureaucracy.
Well, I certainly don't. I think local communities and local principals are the best ones to run local schools.
You got a deal? Have you got a deal?
We've got to do further discussion, and we've put a very positive offer forward, and I would hope the federal government see this as a positive way forward.
Gee, what you'd give to listen into that phone call. The East-West Tunnel, though, did he give you a hard time for not getting your paperwork in on time, as Anthony Albanese did on this program yesterday?
Well, that is a nonsense.
You didn't fill in all your paperwork properly, Premier.
We filled in our paperwork. We were told 30th of June, and we got it in by 30th of June. I mean, Anthony Albanese has a great cheek. Here's Anthony Albanese and the federal Labor government giving $1.8 billion to a road project similar to East-West Link Stage 1 in Sydney, the West Connect project. $1.8 billion for Sydney in his own backyard, and that project is lower on the Infrastructure Australia priority, has not developed a business case. They get $1.8 billion and he won't give a red cent to the East-West Link in Melbourne. That is ridiculous. That is bias and discrimination against Melbourne and Victoria. It is simply wrong.
You tell the PM that?
I will tell the PM that. And I told him in our conversation that we need our $1.5 billion for East-West Stage 1. It is a great game-changing project for Melbourne and Victoria.
And he said... Now, Denis, what did he say?
He said he's a regular guy. He's a regular guy, and as he rocks around Australia, we'll be cooking with gas.
So that's probably a no, just at a guess.
Well, we'll have further discussion on that, because I'm confident we can convince them of the value of that project.